The best thing that happened to my Apple Watch was its screen cracking, because this forced me to continue on without it, and I've never been more in tune with my health than before. Hey, what is up? My name is Mikdad, your physical therapist / athletic trainer, and no, this is not a review but a tutorial. I've been using an Apple Watch now for almost 10 years with a hiatus of a few months, and just recently upgraded to a Series 10. In this video, I want to show you how I use my Apple Watch as a healthcare professional, an athlete, a fitness enthusiast, a part-time student, part-time creator, and part-time YouTuber. I use my Apple Watch in two main categories: lifestyle and health. Under health, I use my Apple Watch for fitness, workouts, sleep tracking, and mindfulness. And under lifestyle, I use my Apple Watch for general tasks like reminders, alarms, navigation, stopwatches, and other things. Let's dive in. The most obvious use of the Apple Watch is fitness tracking. This is pretty self-explanatory. However, with the newer software and watches, you're able to customize your workouts, something that I take advantage of when curating my various workouts. Now, Apple gathers a lot of data during your workouts and summarizes it at the end after completion of the workout. As an average user, I'm not a high-functioning athlete. I use these metrics as pure entertainment / infotainment and nothing more. I may occasionally ponder over my heart rate range and study my heart rate trends during cooldown, just to understand how quickly I recover, but that's about it. Another recent addition is load management. While I always make sure to give myself a rating, I think this is a load, pun not intended, of bullshit. You remember when I mentioned that the best thing that happened to my Apple Watch was its screen cracking? Prior to that happening, I was a much more nuanced user of the Apple Watch. I would obsess over my rings like my life depended on it, pushing to make that circle whole every single day. I was possessed with records, tracking, streaks, and everything in between. While this has certainly developed routine and discipline, I realized I started to rely on the Apple Watch more than I needed to. I started to look towards it for things like how I felt or how I breathed, and was more dependent on it than I should have been. So when my screen cracked mysteriously one day, probably out of sheer wear and tear, it forcibly detached me from the watch. At first, I felt incomplete. My wrist felt lighter, and it seemed I was directionless. Then I slowly started to embrace this freedom of not having to turn my wrist every time. It felt revolutionary to not experience a buzz, tap, or bing. More importantly, it felt good to simply begin exercises without having to check certain boxes or scroll. I was more connected with my exercise. I felt my body exude beads of sweat and my muscles ache without being distracted by metrics. I felt my heart beating and throbbing. I could feel my chest heaving up and down, my body embracing that stitch, the ache, and the exhaustion. This is the freedom that I serendipitously happened upon and continue to enjoy to this day while donning a new Apple Watch. If you were to take one thing away from this video today, it's to enjoy your workouts through and through. That's all well and good, but you may be still wondering how I continue to use my Apple Watch. And I'll tell you, but fair warning, it's not what you think and may be deemed blasphemous. Moving on to mindfulness. On occasion, I use the Breathe app when feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or just a reminder to connect with myself and my body. A quick minute can help remind myself what's really important. I like the calm, subtle vibrations as a follow-along for inhalation and expiration. The cool part is that it can be performed anywhere, anytime, and the more you use it, the more suggestions pop up at various times. Another useful feature embedded in the Mindfulness app is the ability to log your state of mind. I find recognizing my feelings, emotions, and moods gives me control and power over them. Here's another tool that I don't see the use in. While learning about the breakup of different sleep cycles is cool, I cannot act on this data. It's not like I can go to bed with a goal to improve my deep sleep time. This is unconscious and is factored upon so many variables and is different for different people and even different for an individual on a daily basis. I'd categorize this into the entertainment/infotainment bit of data. I don't need the Apple Watch to tell me if I had a bad night's sleep. This comes back to my point of relying too much on the Apple Watch. If you're a new grad, look out for this. At some point, everything is going to come together. You'll have a bunch of patients who are waiting, getting crankier by the moment, and you'll have an eval that's half an hour late and still completing paperwork that's going to delay the rest of your day. You'll be hungry because it's 11 a.m. and you haven't had breakfast yet. And at some point, all of the timers will go off. It's great. Outpatient is great. Good luck. So, timers. I use them a lot during my evaluations and quickly resort to my Apple Watch as it's always with me. A quick 30-second/60 second timer is my go-to for all kinds of measurement and testing. Another big use for me is navigation assistance. I really love this feature, and this is classic Apple ecosystem. This is also the main reason why I use Apple Maps versus Google Maps. Let me know in the comments which bucket you belong to. When using navigation on Apple Maps, the watch gently vibrates to alert me when to take a turn. And finally, the main reason why I continue to use my Apple Watch, apart from the fitness and health features, and as a fitness enthusiast, that's saying something, is the alarm. Yes, hear me out. I'm a morning person and love to kickstart my day early before the sun rises. I pray, work out/head to work, depending on the day and my schedule, and carry on with my day. I wake up before my partner, and using the Apple Watch's alarm helps me wake up without a jarring sound and, more importantly, without disturbing my partner. The subtle vibration is welcoming and is easier to wake up to than the sound of an alarm. I'm not traumatized each time I wake up, and I do not end up despising any sort of jingle. If you're like me, I'd recommend giving this a shot. There you have it. This is how I use my Apple Watch. Let me know if you align with my style or lean another way. If you're into functional training, I've curated a great workout playlist that I'll link somewhere over here. I'll see you over there, and peace.